to another edition of your favorite spiritual podcast. This is the Psychic Funhouse. And for those of you that have found us from our former show on the Blog Talk platform, welcome or welcome back. We are now attempting to do a video podcast, not just an audio podcast. So you get to enjoy our lovely appearances as well as our mellifluous voices. And I am joined on the show tonight, by the amazing, the incredible, the one of a kind Adrian Strout.
Hey, Lawrence.
Hey,
Here
Adrian.
we are.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's a real thing.
Wow.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Man, it's been a while, and this is great to get this going again. We had so many wonderful shows together in the past, and very interesting conversations,
Hmm.
topics, guests, some amazing people calling us with questions and their thoughts and opinions on things. And I'm just so excited and delighted to be at it one more time.
I agree. Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the features of our former show was that we took live calls from audience participants, and we don't have that installed at this point, but eventually we're hoping to have that be a part of the show. But for now, if you want to interact with us, you can send us a text, you can chat with us on the YouTube platform, and we can interact and answer your questions that way. So,
Oh, that's very cool.
yeah.
So if someone has found us on YouTube, they can actually utilize the chat feature.
Yes. Yeah. And right now we're getting a chat from Catherine.
Oh,
Who's
Catherine,
joined us. Yep.
wonderful. That's outstanding.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. We were going to talk about maybe transitions tonight on the show.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So before we, yeah,
Seems to be a good topic.
I think so. Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of change happening right now. That's for sure. So maybe before we jump in, you can share your contact information with our listeners in case they'd like to get in touch with you later and avail themselves of your amazing services.
Oh, Lawrence, thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. People can find me actually on Facebook. I finally have a business page. So
Wow.
I'm there, yeah. So I'm there under Raven Messages. And
Okay.
ravenmessages.com is the website. And there's all kinds of information there, including information on my services and fees, which is going to be quite helpful for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I can also be reached by telephone, 714 How about you? How about you, Lawrence?
Very nice. Yeah. You can reach me by calling or texting 541 My email's givingtree at earthlink.net, and my website is givingtreefarm.com. So lots of options.
Yeah,
Hmm.
wonderful.
Yeah. So, segueing into the topic for tonight's show, what have been some of the major transitions that you've gone through in your life that are worth sharing or talking about, and how were you able to successfully, or maybe not so successfully, navigate them?
Actually, I really like the way that question came out just then because,
Hmm.
my personal feeling is that, like, not all wounds or scars, emotional or mental, are, I don't always feel like it's necessary to try to rid oneself of them,
Mm-hmm.
but rather to acknowledge them and embrace them
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, work with them,
Mm-hmm.
because after all, the ways in which we protect ourselves, serves us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm appreciate the fact that you made mention of that. At any rate, gosh, transitions, transformations, so many throughout my life. I think I was talking about addiction uh, over the last couple of days with a few different people, and as I've talked about that before, I drank and used early in my life and did that for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
and had a wonderful time with it, absolutely wonderful, up until it became real problematic and I ended up sick,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, emotionally, mentally. And, so learning really how to change and really become like a different person in so many
Mm-hmm.
ways.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the biggest, most profound transition, if you will, that I've experienced in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But more currently, I've been seeing a lot of clients talking about, feeling disconnected, not grounded, uncertain, full of some self-doubt, not knowing what in the world to think of, about where they're headed. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
been seeing a lot of that with clients. And, you know, when I provide consultations, spiritual consultations. I talk about a lot of different things and talk about transformation, talk about what's been going on from an astrological standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's really been like this time to, reevaluate a lot of different things that don't seem to work anymore and like learn how to let them go, cut the cords, if you will, so that you
Mm-hmm.
can move forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it seems like many, many, many people are experiencing degree, some a large degree of transformation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you seeing that as you're talking to people, working with people?
Well, unfortunately, I am, and I think what is also happening uh, with just about everybody that I'm coming in contact with, either casually or on more, you know, intimate basis, I guess, is that there's a real undercurrent of fear and uncertainty happening now for people.
Yes.
Um, financial uncertainty, political, social uncertainty, and there's just a real sense that we've kind of gone over this cliff with everybody on it, and we have no idea where we're going to end up landing.
Yeah.
And that's it's a really it's a really difficult thing to try to manage or process, I think, because a lot of it is so existential, meaning that we're not really clear what the guardrails are anymore with anything. And
Yeah.
so we're seeing all these people lose their their employment, and now, the if you're somebody who's got, retirement account or investments, that's going belly up. Uh, and we're just, when people are trying to get answers about what's going on so they can make some kind of concrete plans, they're being lied to, just flat out, or told everything's going to be just fine, when there's a 5 alarm fire happening, in our own house. So uh I think what often happens historically when people are in these situations is that they start turning to just about anything to try to cope or make them feel better. And they're, when people are afraid, they're in a really vulnerable place, and they don't always make the best decisions because they're often, in some kind of state of panic, right? And so they're really susceptible to being, um, in a sense, tricked into, um, clinging on to whatever piece of flotsam or jetsam, comes their way during the flood. And this is when people are really susceptible to being manipulated. So,
True.
I think it's really important to be really upfront and supportive with people that you're coming in contact with, clients and everybody else, students, in my case, but also to be really, as honest as possible and say, well, this is what I think is going to happen, and this is what, I'm really not sure about, and we're all just going to have to do the best we can moving forward, and make decisions that, are going to try to benefit not just us, but our community as well. So
I
yeah.
think, I think there's a lot of people, in somewhat of a state of shock, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, it's, it's really the most peculiar time. Really,
Hmm.
most peculiar, yeah,
It is. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I know that as you and I have kind of talked about some of the topics we might want to cover,
Hmm.
and you and I both have very similar feelings politically.
Hmm.
I don't know, I don't know if either one of us know exactly how far either one of us want to go into that arena.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly, certainly without a doubt, one of the things that I find to be, excuse me, interesting, and it's really not so much about politics, but just about like the timeline of things. Pardon me, because for so many people, there's a great amount of effort and energy being used to try to move forward. And recently, some of the news stations, some of the economists have been chatting, at least this is what I've heard,
Hmm. Hmm.
how, let's just say with the tariffs, for example,
Hmm.
and the thought that if indeed they work, various companies will come back to the United States and will bring new business and new job opportunities. And it was very interesting to hear this person make a comment that, well, yes, that's fine and all. However, the kinds of jobs that are being described are jobs that were probably related back to the 50s and the 60s and in the past,
Hmm.
where, know, we are so invested in the technological field and technology and developing that, that's really like where we are now.
Hmm.
And, anything other than that is really, what's the word, antiquated?
Hmm.
And, and so, and really not serving us, not serving, our society, not serving, the kinds of things that we're trying to get, accomplished, from an economic standpoint. I have a young dog here, a German Shepherd puppy here that is just bugging me,
She wants
wanting
to be on.
attention.
She wants to be on the show.
I think she does.
She wants to be a Psychic Funhouse dog.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, tariffs. Oh my God. Uh, just to look at one aspect of it, the idea that somehow manufacturing jobs are just going to spring up overnight to meet the needs of this country
yeah,
is complete hogwash. It doesn't happen. Even if it could happen, you can't just magically, you know, wave a magic wand and boom, there's a factory that's creating whatever item it is that you would like to have manufactured in this country again. And like you said, the 50s and the 60s, let's be clear about this. The corporations, together with certain politicians, didn't want to have manufacturing in this country anymore. That's what NAFTA was about. That's what, allowing corporations to build factories overseas without any penalties to get away from taxes. That's what all that was about in the 90s and on. And that's what happened. And that's why there aren't any more manufacturing or very few, actual manufacturing jobs in this country. The corporations pay, you know, uh, wages over in these countries that are a fraction of
yeah,
what the wage would have to be here,
yeah,
even just at a minimum level, let alone a living wage, which we haven't had in this country for almost 40 years.
yeah,
So, so for that to actually happen, you know, uh, there's a reason why there are relatively, or were anyway, before the tariffs, affordable goods that we'd import here from other countries because we take advantage of, the difference in living conditions and don't have to pay as much.
yeah,
And the corporations are happy with that because they charge a pretty penny and make a pretty good margin. For them to set up shop here with even, substandard wages that they'd have to pay workers to do these jobs, that they're talking about coming back with all these tariffs, the cost of those goods produced in factories here would be 5 to 10 to 20 or more times the cost of what we're paying now. So it's unrealistic. It doesn't even make any sense, which is why there's no economist, worth their weight in salt who's going to sign on to this stuff because they all know how ludicrous it is. It's a fantasy, you know.
yeah, yeah. How
So,
about this? This is, I mean, I think it was in Florida.
uh-huh.
I heard this that it had something to do with repealing the child labor laws.
Hmm.
Did you hear that?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, are children are children going to be on the assembly lines at these manufacturing? I don't know. I was just like, just shocking, just shocking.
Well, that's the, let's be honest, it's the conservative response to them chasing away all of the immigrants who do the jobs that none of the, you know, uh, mostly white people, let's
Yeah,
be honest about that, want to do.
yeah,
There's no clamor by Caucasians to run out and start picking oranges in Florida. That's just not going to happen,
yeah,
or whatever the crop is.
yeah,
And so they've got to fill that gap somehow that they've created. And so now the way to do it is they're going to let children work overtime on a school night. because they value education and children's lives so much, and they're trying to dress it up as, oh well, this gives kids a chance to have a work ethic and all that. You know, that's all well and good. I mean, I had a paper out when I was growing up. You know, back when newspapers were a thing, and
Sure.
I worked in restaurants. I worked at a resort facility when I was in high school. I worked at a lumber yard when I was in high school,
Yeah.
but I didn't work. There were guardrails set up so that I wouldn't get exploited, and so I could still be sure to make good on my education.
Yeah.
We want to erase all that and just turn young people into cogs in a wheel and allow them. It's not just that they want to lower the age; they also want to let them take on dangerous uh, employment that they should have no access to whatsoever. That even adults, are putting themselves at risk to do. But they want to do away with all that. But they keep saying that they really care about kids, which I
Yeah.
find distastefully hypocritical at a minimum. Which is the nicest way of putting it.
That
So,
is a nice way of putting it. Yes.
because I'm trying to be polite. Because what I'd like to say involves curse words, but
Yes.
it's just
Oh gosh. Well, it really is quite quite the time on the planet, and
mhm,
so we have like, which I just find it so fascinating. Again, it's kind of like this political, if you will, movement or energy that wants to take us back a couple of decades, a few decades into the past. And then at the same time, you have people, more and more people, talking about, the aliens,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And we're going to have, people that are predicting full contact, or at least initial contact with the aliens, come, I guess, next year.
Mhm.
So we've got like uh, extreme things going on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and they made this big show that they were going to release all the Kennedy assassination
Oh,
files.
yeah.
And so, people were like, "Oh, great, we're going to finally find out something." And then come to find out every page was just full of black ink where they redacted everything. So, nobody learned anything except some poor slob's social security number because they were too lazy or too busy or too incompetent to, keep that out. So that guy's now doxxed. But this is kind of what we've come to expect from this shoot from the hip administration.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what is really going to wash out with the whole UFA phenomenon. If they're finally going to cough up whatever it is that people think is happening at places like Area 51 or whatever, and or if they're going to continue to kind of be coy and sly about everything and say, well, this is what we think is happening, but there's nothing substantial here. There's no meat in the
Right.
sandwich, so to speak.
And so it's no small wonder, people feel very confused.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know who to trust, what to
Mm-hmm.
believe. Well, they don't know what to believe anyhow, so I
Hmm.
guess it's, in some ways, that's the same thing.
Right.
It is quite a time of transformation, and uh, and it feels like really the only counsel to provide is, just to be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others, try to move forward, remember to breathe,
Hmm.
remember to take care of yourself, the whole person. Um, it's very interesting, though. I would say that the majority of the readings uh, the intuitive readings that I have done, people just really are just feeling so lost, so
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, confused, and then it's like when you explain that, it's a time of transformation,
Hmm.
I think in terms of like being able to, I hate to use that word label it, because I don't like labels, but when people are able to attach a word to it, sometimes that helps,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you have to have things out in the open and not just stuck up in your head where they're gonna accumulate more and more stress and fear mongering. Um, but I think we're in a place where we kind of have to walk a fine line between informing ourselves about what's going on and the changes that are happening, but not getting so immersed in the dynamics of the whole process that we're just overwhelmed by fear or sadness or grief and become paralyzed, and everybody's got a different meter for how to measure when they need to take some breaks and really focus on some self-care, or when they have the intestinal fortitude and stamina to jump back in and figure out what's going on,
Yeah.
um, and how they can make a difference in it. And I think it's also important to say, the other thing that's happening is there are a great deal of people. I don't think it's a majority by any means, but it's a significant amount of people, our fellow country men and women, who are cheering this process on, and
Yes.
who couldn't be more happy to watch innocent people's lives get turned upside down, and even destroyed. And it's a very unsettling feeling, I think, to realize that your neighbor could be uh, somebody who would be more than happy to turn you into the authorities if they figured out a way to you know make you liable for something that they thought was uh, going to get you in trouble in some way.
Yeah.
you know and I think about that, and it just it curdles my stomach.
Yeah.
It just feels so, and it's kind of a ridiculous thing to say, but it feels so un-American to be that kind of vindictive, hate-filled, just poisonous,
Yeah.
you know personality. That's what your energy is going to be directed towards, is to look for people that you can um you know uh have arrested for what? Because they
Yeah.
don't agree with your philosophy. Uh, but I mean, people's capacity to BS themselves, I guess, is kind of bottomless about where they're coming from. So,
Yes. That's
uh,
very true.
but it's disheartening, disappointing. You know,
Yeah.
you expect
Yeah.
better. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, so speaking about transitions and what have you,
Hmm.
where's Michael Espinosa?
Yeah, that's a good question. Where is Michael? Well, he should be here, but I guess we'll just have to settle for him to be here in spirit, at least for a while longer. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Well, I think we talked about it. He's got some family issues that he's taking care of that are a priority for him right now, and I think we both totally understand why
Oh,
he's got
sure.
to focus on that. But it's hard to be here without him for sure, because he is such a cornerstone of the show and contributes so much. You know.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, I'm sure people, some of our old time callers and friends of the show, Probably will miss Michael, just like you and I do, but at least from everything both of us have heard,
Hmm.
he's gonna pop in and out, so,
Right.
yeah, which will be great.
Yeah. We'll get him back here eventually. Now that we've, for the most part, anyway, figured out the nuts and bolts of revamping the show in this new format. So yeah, just keep the torch burning for him.
Yeah,
So. Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So one thing I think we talked about while we're still in the green room that I want to make sure you mention for anybody uh, listening or watching the show is you and Michael have an event coming up tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes, as a
So
matter of
talk
fact,
talk to
yeah,
us about that. What's that about, and how can people
yeah.
connect?
Well, I so appreciate that. Thank you for reminding me.
Hmm.
Yes, so tomorrow in Tustin at
Hmm.
a place called the Sanctuary and Wellness Studio, Michael and I at 4 p.m., 4 until 6 p.m., so 2 hours,
Hmm.
are doing an event. And what we're going to do, it's on mediumship, and we're going to spend the first, I don't know, half an hour or so talking
Hmm.
about mediumship, talking about what
Hmm.
it is, what it
Hmm.
isn't, why it's important to get training, and talk about, various aspects of it,
Hmm.
and to provide a little education for people. And then we're going to do readings.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so it's $50 per person, and I've tried to tell people I think it's a great deal.
Sure.
We have
Yeah, it is.
two mediums, two very
Right.
good mediums,
Hmm.
2 hours,
Hmm.
and $50 per person. So
Hmm. Hmm.
tickets are available through either my website, which is
Hmm.
ravenmessages.com, or Eventbrite.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if they go to Eventbrite, do they just look for your name or Michael's name, or is there a title for the experience, or what's the best way to find out on Eventbrite?
Yeah, is by the date and
Hmm.
the mediumship event in Tustin. I think that should do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very good.
yeah,
Excellent. Yeah. Well, that's going to be a really exciting event for people to take part in, I'm sure.
yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely,
good for you guys.
absolutely. It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could be there, but
I wish you could too.
I
I wish you
know.
could too.
Fun.
That
Yeah.
would, you know what? That would
Hmm.
be great if the three of us could figure out a way to do an event together. Wouldn't that be
Hmm.
fun?
Yeah. Well, I suppose unless we decide to travel somewhere compatible, it would have to be online or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, who
Hmm.
knows?
Hmm.
Maybe we do that too.
Yeah. Quite possible.
Yeah. And so, and you're teaching,
I am.
yes. And, and besides your class, do you have any events that are coming up or any trainings, anything like that that's coming up? People
I
might
don't have
want to
anything
know
come.
about?
No. Yeah. Just the class that's going on right now. The introduction to herbalism class. But uh, probably towards the end of spring, beginning of summer, I'll have some private classes I'll be teaching and offering. And I'll have information about those. So,
Yeah, very good,
yeah.
very good.
Hmm.
That's dog here. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Well, so tell me, Lawrence, do you feel like we'll have opportunities to have guest speakers join us, like we did on the other show?
Oh yeah, yeah. I I'm sure that that's going to be a feature that will be added to the show as we progress with everything. Um, we were pretty good about having somebody on at least once, once a month, sometimes more frequently, who is a guest who could talk to our audience about different aspects of spirituality that they were an expert on. So, oh yeah, yeah, we're definitely gonna revive that format and have people join us on the show. Um,
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to that.
yeah. I think that'll be great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely will be. Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we now right now as we sit here,
Mm-hmm.
we are live on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
on the Psychic Funhouse. And there is, as we were talking about earlier, there's a chat function.
Mm-hmm.
And so our viewers can utilize that and ask if they, put their questions in there and send that to us, and then we can respond.
Yep.
What about the call-in feature? We're gonna have that, or do you know?
Uh, as far as right now goes, the call-in feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't. But as other listeners may recall, back when we were on Blog Talk, part of the attraction with Blog Talk was that they had the ability for people to call in during the show, and they could ask us questions um, during the live show that we would respond to and interact with in a way. And it was great because we got a real sense of who the caller was and what their issues were, what their interests were, and they got a chance to interact with us directly and get some feedback, pretty much immediately, which was really uh, constructive and helpful for them. But the nice thing about the new platform that we're on, which is Riverside, which we're also using as our studio to put all the content out to our YouTube channel. Riverside has a feature that we're eventually going to onboard that allows people to call in live during the show, like we used to have. So that, you know, once we get things worked out, that's going to return as a really wonderful feature of our Psychic Funhouse podcast. So,
Yeah, that's excellent. That's just excellent.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that'd be a lot of fun.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to, like, besides the guest speakers and our callers, without a doubt, you know, always brought, the callers always brought so many interesting, situations going on in their life, and it was wonderful, it was just wonderful to provide like quick on the spot readings for people. We did that. And, I've missed that. So that part's going to be great. And then, like I said, to have the guest speakers come back, that'll be wonderful also. And we're going to do, uh, I'm thinking an hour. Is that right? Hour
Yeah.
shows? Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. That's the plan.
Uh-huh.
Just like before, we'll have guests on some shows, and then when we do that, we'll probably increase the length of the show a little bit to give people plenty of time to interact with our guests, and then we'll also, like we're doing today, we'll have topics that we're going to talk about and other interesting things to bring up different aspects of spirituality,
Yeah.
psychic, mediumship, shamanism, just a variety of different things. I think that people find relevant to their daily lives, as well as just a fascinating look into how people work with these different kinds of healing modalities and things. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful. And what a relief, I hate to say this, but what a relief it is to be able to be on a stable podcast platform. We had so many problems there towards the end, and it was hard to have to switch and run the risk of losing contact with some of those uh, wonderful people that followed the show on a regular basis. But hopefully they'll come back, and we'll be able to make new friends also. You know,
absolutely, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's always great when we get a new caller that comes on the
yeah,
show. Hmm.
yeah. It's good.
Hmm.
And the video is so clear, and I can see you so well.
Hmm.
And the audio is clear. That's
Hmm.
wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we talked about for a long time coming on and making the transition to video. Uh, Audio is great, and I have a little bit of a background of being in radio, so I do have a soft spot in my heart for just audio vocal presentations. But I think people really like to see a face, and they like to
Sure.
to um, you know get caught up in the entertainment aspect of visual medium. So it's nice that we've even though we've left behind the Blog Talk format, we're now moving into this much more versatile uh, audio and visual format of the show now, the live stream. So yeah.
And I also want to make mention, because it's taken a while. It's taken a while for us to get back to doing a show, and it certainly wasn't because we took a vacation. There was
Right.
there was a lot of looking into a lot of different platforms and trying to figure things out. And for me personally, hey, sorry about that. For me personally, Lawrence, thank goodness you're as knowledgeable as you are, with the electronics and the all the digital stuff, because I would have been just totally lost there. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know just enough to get in trouble. So that's about the extent of my knowledge. But yeah, and that is a good point. We are, even though we haven't technically been on the air publicly until really just today, uh, and we went off the air on Blog Talk way back in, gosh, I guess, end of October. And they are no longer a viable platform. They actually went out of business at the beginning of
yeah,
this year. We have been, really diligently trying new platforms and testing things out, and working on getting the bugs and the kinks worked out, all sorts of different aspects of making this transition happen. And it's been a lot of work, but um, I think both of us have been really invested in making it happen, in a large part because of the connections that we were able to form with our listeners. And so we're really excited to be able to come back in this brand new format and to start reconnecting with people that are interested in the things that we're interested in, the spiritual topics and
Right.
support and all the great things that we find out about ourselves and each other through making these connections. So yeah, for sure.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see what else. Um, I this has nothing to, well, yeah, I suppose it has something to do with transition. You know, we were talking earlier about tariffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went out and I got a new car.
Did you really?
I did.
Wow.
I did. Yeah. My and I did that on Monday.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and you know, some of that was definitely out of need, out of necessity,
Mm-hmm.
and fear. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's always just so wonderful to have places where we can come and talk about, the things that are on our minds or that are really pressing. But yeah, my my old car was in need of some big repair work. And,
Okay.
and then the fear, the thought of, car prices going up 25, was it 25%? It's like, oh, I guess I better pull the trigger on this
Uh-huh.
and do something. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
What's the car that you got?
I got another BMW.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. I I figured that even though it was a little bit more expensive than I really wanted to spend, I felt like, you know what, I'm not going to have to worry about the car breaking down for quite some time,
Mm-hmm.
of the new warranty and everything like that.
Sure.
So,
So
just
did you get a new car or a used car or what
I got a 2024.
okay.
And
Wow.
yeah, certified used one,
Mm-hmm.
and used to be a loaner, service loaner, and
Oh, okay.
has just turned 7,000 miles on it, so it's pretty new.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you did the right thing and you got it before, all these crazy tariffs went into effect. So
yeah,
good timing on that one.
yeah,
So yeah. Mm-hmm. Smart, smart, smart.
yeah. So that's all the personal news that I have, other than, of course, the event tomorrow in Tustin.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah. So about that event, let's see. Our audience member Katie was encouraging us to put some information about that out
Oh,
on onto the website. So while we've been talking, I've been trying to organize that.
oh,
Um, so it's so people can see it. So it's in Tustin. It's tomorrow, is it? And it's 4 to 6 p.m. Is that right?
yes.
And where's the location of it? It's at what center?
Yeah, let me tell you exactly where it is.
Okay.
Exactly. It is at 505 West First Street, Tustin, 92780.
Okay.
And it's at the Sanctuary Wellness.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Okay. And let's see. And so you're going to be talking about mediumship and
Yeah,
also doing mediumship readings for the people that come to take the class.
yeah. So it's sometimes they call it gallery readings or
Uh-huh.
platform readings, and so depending upon the audience and the length of time that's available, tomorrow we should everyone will receive a reading, and uh, it's in the public format, but uh, discreet. We certainly use discernment quite a good bit in those public venues.
Sure.
But it'll be lovely. It'll be safe. It'll be a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay. Very good.
Thank
Yeah.
you for
Well,
doing that, Lawrence.
oh, sure. Yeah, you bet. You bet. Let's see. So, okay. So I think this is going to go up now. Let's see. There it is. Okay. So it's on the YouTube Psychic Funhouse channel.
All
So
right.
people can find that
Oh,
there if they want. Address,
that's good.
time. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. Everything. Now, can people show up at the door and still pay if they don't get it together to buy a ticket, or is
sure.
that possible? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. There it is. Yeah. Sanctuary Wellness Studio. Nice. Um. Okay. Well. So let's talk about what else is going to be coming up um, in future shows. We should probably talk about that. We talk about guests and having call-in features and things like that. Um, there, the other aspects of the show were that we would kind of focus on themes and things like that that were tied to events out in the real world, like uh, we had a whole month's worth of Halloween centered programming when we hit October, and we also had a popular Valentine's Day shows.
Oh, yeah.
So those are good, and things to do over the summer, things like that. So,
Yeah.
yep. So we'll definitely be carrying on that trend and tradition as well. So,
Absolutely. And live readings.
yeah, yep, yeah, really fun live readings. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah, that's right. We used to do those theme shows, and yeah, that was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do things around Thanksgiving, not necessarily the holiday per se, but just the general feel, for being thankful,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and uh, we did some great shows around Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
I remember when we did our drumming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. That was good too. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and we also welcome suggestions from our audience. Sometimes people have an idea about what they'd like to see or have us discuss, or a guest that they really like, to see if we can book them for the show. So
yeah,
we're open to that happening as well. So
yeah.
yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I want to give a shout out to a few friends that are listening to the show tonight. Catherine, Katie, who's out there, and chatting with us here sporadically, and just want to say hello and let you know how much you're appreciated. And in fact, Katie's actually going to be at the event tomorrow. You know, Katie's a very interesting lady. She really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's extremely talented,
Hmm.
intuitive, and
Hmm.
able to do readings, and is just fabulous in with her ability to utilize crystals, describe crystals and gemstones, and then she makes jewelry also.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that'll be fun.
Yep.
Do you know how many people are signed up yet for?
I don't.
Mhm.
I know that I know we have seats available,
Uh-huh.
and right now it looks like it's going to be more on the smaller intimate side, which is just fine. It's
Hmm.
I think people respond very well to that, and I know a few of the people that are coming are kind of new to working with mediums, so it's just fine.
Hmm. Hmm. Very good. Yeah.
Maybe from
Well,
the UK.
yeah. Well, we're getting close to the end of the show, so maybe now would be a good time for us to remind people about what our contact information is.
Yes,
So they
indeed.
can reach.
Yeah. So if someone would like to book a session with me, I work with people on Zoom, over the phone, and in person.
Mm-hmm.
And you can reach me by through my website, which is a great place to start, which is ravenmessages.com. And there's all kinds of information on there about my fees and services. And I'll take a phone call, which is at area code 714-376-7289. How about you, Lawrence? What's your contact information if somebody wants to schedule a session with you?
Yeah. So my contact information, you can reach me at 541 You can also email me at givingtree@earthlink.net. And you're also welcome to check out my website, which is givingtreefarm.com. So,
Okay,
yeah.
very good.
All
That's
right. Yeah. Well, so we are planning on being here every Friday, unless we decide to change our time and day, but every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. And we will have these shows archived so you can take a look at them at your leisure. And you're always welcome to send us any information you would like to share, questions you have about the show or upcoming shows, and of course, suggestions and questions for either Adrian or myself as well. So,
yeah.
really appreciate you listening. Big shout out to Katie for coming on and letting us know her thoughts. That was really helpful. So,
Yes,
big
indeed,
blessings to
Katie.
her. Yeah. And I hope you and Michael have a great show. tomorrow with your mediumship skills, and you have a wonderful set of audience members. I will be there in spirit.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
Thanks for everything.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. Well, thanks for coming to take a look at the new Psychic Funhouse. We're excited to bring it to you in its new fashion. So we'll talk again, and until then, be well, take care of yourself,
yeah.
and we'll catch you next time.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
That's great.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Adrian.
No, thank you.
All
So
right.
appreciate you.
All right.
Okay.
Bye
Bye.
bye for now. Yep.
Uh-huh. Bye.